Imagine this: you're standing at a party, drink in hand, feeling like just another face in the crowd. You assume nobody notices you. You think you're invisible, just blending in. But here's the truth: someone across the room is watching you. Not because of what you're saying, not because of some flashy move, but because of the way you simply exist in the space. The way you don't rush to prove yourself. The way you lean back, scanning the room with quiet composure. That subtle aura, it's attraction. And the irony is, you're probably the last one to notice it. This is the first trap men fall into: believing attraction only looks like direct compliments, dramatic attention, or someone confessing their interest outright. But psychology doesn't work that way. Attraction is rarely loud. It's hidden in micro behaviors: her eyes darting toward you then away when you catch her. The way she laughs harder at jokes you didn't even say that loud. The way her body tilts slightly toward you in a group. You dismiss it as nothing, because you've been conditioned to think attraction has to announce itself. But women rarely announce it. They signal it, and most men miss the signals completely. Now, here's the darker side: when you don't recognize your own attractiveness, you become easy to manipulate. Because if you think you're low value, every crumb of attention feels like a feast. You'll overinvest, you'll chase, you'll settle for disrespect, you'll tolerate flakiness. Why? Because in your mind, you believe you're lucky to even be noticed. And that belief makes you a target for women who thrive on power, plays women who don't want connection. They want control. Some women will deliberately withhold attention just to watch you squirm. She texts you warm and playful one night, then ignores you the next 2 days. She's not busy, she's testing. She wants to see if you'll panic, double text, beg for validation. If you do, you've revealed yourself a man who doesn't know his worth. And once she knows that, she owns the frame. The relationship becomes her stage, and you're cast as the desperate understudy. Here's the tactical truth: attraction is not about being perfect. It's about how you carry yourself when nothing is happening. If she withdraws, you don't chase. You don't explain yourself. You don't spiral into overthinking. You let silence do the talking. Indifference is your weapon. When you don't rush to fill the gap, you flip the script. Suddenly, she feels the tension. She starts questioning. Why isn't he trying harder? Why isn't he begging for me like the others? That's when the power shifts. She realizes you're not starving for approval. You're the man who can walk away. Think back to the last time you liked a woman. Did you find yourself saying yes to things you didn't want to do? Agreeing to last-minute changes that disrespected your time? Covering for her coldness by telling yourself she was just tired or stressed? That wasn't kindness. That was fear. Fear of losing what you thought you couldn't replace. But the irony is this: the very thing you were afraid of losing is what she stopped respecting the moment you overgave. Let me make this tactical for you. The next time she pulls back, here's what you do: nothing. Don't text her asking what's wrong. Don't call 3 times to check in. Don't send a just thinking of you paragraph. Instead, step back. Match her energy. If she goes cold, you go calm. If she pulls away, you hold your ground. Silence isn't emptiness, it's a mirror. And in that mirror, she sees the truth. Either her interest was genuine, or it wasn't. Either way, you win. Because you didn't break frame. You didn't betray yourself. You stayed centered. This is how you uncover your own attractiveness, not by forcing it, not by begging for validation, but by realizing that your value doesn't need confirmation. The strongest signal of a man's attractiveness isn't abs, money, or smooth lines. It's restraint. It's the refusal to flinch when the game begins. Most men can't do it. Most men fold. But the ones who don't, those are the men women can't stop thinking about. So let me ask you, have you ever recognized yourself in this exact situation? Did you catch the signs of attraction and dismiss them as just friendliness? Which one of these toxic games have you fallen for before withdrawal, hot and cold, or the endless tests of validation? And be honest, what's the hardest part for you when it comes to holding your silence instead of chasing? Here's what you don't realize: women notice the details about you long before you ever notice them about yourself. You think attraction is about having the best car, the biggest bank account, or the sharpest jawline. But what she really notices are the quiet, unconscious signals you leak out every day. The way you take up space without fidgeting. The way you listen without scrambling to jump in and impress. The way you walk into a room without needing the room to clap for you. Those subtle cues make you magnetic. But here's the tragedy: you overlook them. You underestimate yourself. And that self-blindness costs you power. Psychology calls it the spotlight effect. You assume everyone is judging you, so you downplay yourself. But in reality, people aren't seeing your flaws as much as you think they're feeling your presence. And when you shrink, you rob yourself of the very energy that makes you attractive. That's why some guys end up in the friend zone. It's not because they're unattractive, it's because they carry themselves like they're not even contenders. Women can sense when a man doesn't know his own weight. And once she senses that, she places him in the category of safe or useful, not desirable. The manipulation creeps in from there. She'll treat you like a boyfriend when she's lonely, then push you aside when someone more assertive shows up. She'll invite you to do favors, drive her across town, fix her problems, be her therapist, yet never give you intimacy. And the whole time, you'll convince yourself, maybe if I just wait, maybe if I prove myself, she'll see I'm worth it. No, she already sees your worth, but she's using it for her own benefit, not rewarding it. That's the cost of not recognizing your attractiveness. You become currency in someone else's game. Here's the field-tested tactic you need to stop being available for women who only treat you like an option. The second you notice you're being strung along, pull back. Don't confront her with angry speeches. Don't beg for clarity. That only proves you're still trapped in her frame. Instead, change your availability. Cancel the next favor she asks for. Stop answering late-night texts that don't lead to real connection. Limit your access. The moment she realizes your time is no longer guaranteed, her perception of you shifts. Suddenly, you're no longer the furniture in her life, you're the man she has to earn. Think of it like supply and demand. What's rare has value. What's common gets taken for granted. If you flood her with attention every time she gives you scraps, you become common. But if you make your attention selective, she has to adjust. She has to decide whether she'll rise to meet your standard or watch you leave. Either way, you've reclaimed control. Because attraction grows when your presence is felt in contrast, in the space where she realizes your silence speaks louder than begging ever could. Now, let's talk about overinvesting. You've done it before you meet a woman, and within days you're planning your future in your head. You buy her gifts too soon. You text paragraphs while she replies with emojis. You rearrange your life to fit her in, while she treats you as a weekend option. That imbalance isn't love, it's self-erasure. And here's the brutal truth women can sense when a man is trying too hard to earn what he already deserves. That energy kills attraction. It feels needy. It feels like a sale you don't believe in yourself. So you overcompensate with discounts. She doesn't fall for the discount, she loses respect for the product. The correction is simple but not easy. Match her investment, not her potential. If she gives you 50%, you give 50%. If she shows genuine effort, you respond. But if she's giving bare minimum, you don't pick up the slack with extra effort. You let it collapse. Why? Because when you hold back, you allow her to reveal her true level of interest. No chasing, no guessing, no self-delusion. You see the reality, and reality is your ally. It saves you time, energy, and dignity. At the core of this is your ability to sit with discomfort, to not flinch when she pulls away, to not compensate when she tests you, to not rush in when silence feels unbearable. Because that's where your attractiveness is forged, in the tension you can withstand without breaking. Most men run from that tension. You need to train yourself to live in it. The longer you can sit with it, the stronger your frame becomes. And the stronger your frame, the more undeniable your presence is. Women respect the man who doesn't flinch. They chase the man who doesn't beg. So ask yourself, when was the last time you overinvested in a woman who wasn't giving you the same energy back? How many times have you excused bad behavior because you didn't believe you could do better? And when silence hit, did you fill it with desperate words, or did you let her feel it? Some women are masters of subtlety. They'll never say, "I want you." Instead, they'll circle around you with glances, touches, and small tests, waiting to see if you recognize the current running beneath the surface. You've probably missed it more than once. A woman brushes against you just a little too long when she passes by. She asks questions that seem meaningless. Are you seeing anyone? What kind of girls do you like? But they're probes, signals. She's not asking out of casual curiosity. She's fishing for her place in your orbit. But if you're blind to your own attractiveness, you'll dismiss it as random conversation. You'll laugh it off, change the subject, and walk away, not realizing you just walked past an open door. Psychology calls this the illusion of transparency. You assume people can read your doubt, so you hide behind passivity. You think, she'd make it obvious if she liked me. Wrong. Women rarely risk rejection openly. They send invitations wrapped in subtlety, and when you don't act, they label you as uninterested. That's how many men lose opportunities they didn't even know they had. They mistake indirect attraction for politeness. They confuse testing with disinterest. And by the time they realize, it's already gone. Now here's the darker game. Some women weaponize those same signals to manipulate. They'll flirt just enough to keep you hooked, without ever giving more. She touches your arm, she smiles. She makes you feel chosen, then disappears when you lean in. Not because she doesn't know what she's doing, but because she enjoys the leash. She likes watching you orbit her, hoping for another crumb of validation. And you tell yourself, maybe she's shy. Maybe she needs time. No, she knows exactly what she's doing. She's keeping you in limbo, so she can use your attention without giving commitment. How do you handle this tactics? Not feelings. The next time a woman sends you signals, test them. If she touches you, touch back lightly and see if she leans in or pulls away. If she asks a personal question, answer honestly, then mirror it back. Watch if she invests in the exchange. If she flirts, escalate slightly, then pause. See if she meets you there. If she doesn't, if she laughs it off, if she retreats, you've got your answer. She wasn't attracted, she was entertaining herself, and you don't waste another second. The key here is calibration. You don't pounce on every smile like it's a promise. You don't ignore every signal like you're blind. You observe, you test, you match. That balance keeps you from being played while also keeping you from missing real attraction. Because the truth is, your attractiveness isn't invisible. It's there, it's felt. The only question is whether you can recognize it in time to act without fear. Let's talk about confidence, real confidence, not the fake swagger most men put on. Real confidence is calm, it's steady. It's the man who can stand in silence without fidgeting. It's the man who doesn't rush to explain himself when someone challenges him. It's the man who looks a woman in the eye without flinching, but also without trying to dominate her with over-the-top bravado. That energy makes women lean in, often against their will. They can't help it, because calm presence is rare. Most men crack under pressure. Most men perform. The few who don't, those are the men women remember. But here's the trap when you don't see your own attractiveness. You sabotage it. You second guess yourself. You replay conversations in your head, asking, did I sound stupid? Did I say too much? Did I do enough? That overthinking leaks out. It makes you hesitant. It makes you shaky, and attraction dies in hesitation. Women don't want a man who never doubts. They want a man who feels doubt and still moves forward anyway. Action in the face of uncertainty, that's where your power lies. The practical shift is this: stop asking, does she like me, and start asking, does her behavior prove she likes me? Look for consistency, not just flashes. Does she follow through on plans or cancel last minute? Does she text you first or only reply? Does she find excuses to be near you or only show up when she's bored? Attraction is not just a spark, it's investment. If she invests, you reciprocate. If she doesn't, you detach. That detachment isn't arrogance, it's clarity. And clarity is the most attractive state you can carry. Every time you choose clarity over confusion, you reclaim energy. Energy you can redirect toward yourself, your fitness, your craft, your purpose. Because here's the paradox. The more you live as if you don't need validation, the more validation comes to you. Not because you're chasing it, but because you're radiating something rare: self-possession. Women crave that. Not the man begging to be chosen, but the man who chooses himself first. The man who doesn't fold at the first test. The man who can look her in the eye and say without words, I am enough, with or without you. So tell me, how many times have you mistaken playful signals for real interest? Have you ever been strung along by a woman who knew exactly how much attention to give you to keep you hooked? And when you think about it now, what would you do differently the next time those signals appear? There's a reason you've been underestimating yourself for years. It's because you've been trained to. From the time you were young, you were told attraction was about chasing, proving, performing. Movies showed you the grand gesture wins the girl. Advice columns told you to just be nice. And every time a woman ignored you, you assumed it was because you weren't tall enough, rich enough, or good-looking enough. But here's the hard truth: most of the time, it wasn't that. It was your frame. You acted like someone trying to qualify for her approval instead of being the man who already owned his own worth. That frame shift changes everything. Think about the times you've been around a woman you liked. Did you find yourself over-explaining your job, your achievements, your plans, hoping she'd be impressed? That's insecurity disguised as connection. Did you laugh too hard at her jokes, hoping she'd feel comfortable? That's approval-seeking disguised as charm. Did you hold back your real opinions because you didn't want to upset her? That's self-erasure disguised as keeping the peace. She doesn't fall for those tactics. She senses the energy behind them. And that energy screams, I don't believe I'm enough. Contrast that with the man who simply lives in his lane. He talks about his work without overhyping it. He listens without bending himself into a pretzel to agree. He's warm, but not over-eager. He can disagree calmly without flinching. That man doesn't need to force attraction. He lets it happen. And because he isn't seeking approval, women give it freely. This is the paradox: the less you chase validation, the more validation finds you. But let's go deeper. The real reason you struggle to see your attractiveness is because you're addicted to scarcity. Every time a woman shows you the slightest attention, you act like it's rare gold. That mindset makes you overvalue the wrong people. It's why you tolerate flakiness, disrespect, manipulation, because deep down, you think, what if this is the best I can get? That's not romance. That's fear disguised as loyalty. and fear is what makes you prey. Here's how women test that fear. She says something cutting, then laughs it off as a joke. She cancels last minute, expecting you to rearrange your life the next time she's free. She withholds affection to see if you'll beg for it. And if you do, if you laugh along when you didn't find it funny, if you act grateful when she reschedules, if you chase her coldness with extra warmth, you've confirmed her suspicion you're the man who doesn't know his own value. And once she knows that, she owns the power. So what do you do instead? Tactics. Again, when she makes a disrespectful joke, don't fake laugh. Let the silence sit. Maybe raise an eyebrow. Maybe change the subject. But don't feed it. When she cancels on you, don't rush to reschedule. Keep your time. If she wants back in, she makes the effort. When she withholds affection, don't chase, match her. If she's cold, you're calm. If she's distant, you're busy. That isn't punishment, that's balance. And balance is where attraction thrives. The hardest part for most men is this, letting women feel the weight of their own behavior. You've been trained to smooth it over, to chase harmony, to fill silence. Stop. Let her sit in the gap. Let her wonder. Let her feel the space where your attention used to be guaranteed. That space is powerful. That space forces clarity. Either she adjusts or she leaves. And either outcome protects you. That's what men who know their value do. They don't fight for scraps. They demand the full meal, or they walk away hungry but free. Remember, this attraction isn't about performing for her. It's about protecting your frame. Your frame is your beliefs, your time, your energy. When you protect it, she respects it. When you give it away, she uses it. Every man has to learn this the hard way, at least once the moment you realize the woman you bent over backward for didn't even respect you. That sting is painful, but it's also your awakening. It's the proof that trying harder isn't the answer. The answer is recognizing you were already attractive, already valuable. You just kept selling yourself short. Now ask yourself, how many times have you covered for a woman's bad behavior because you didn't want to lose her when she pulled back? Did you double down? Or did you let her feel the distance? And if you're honest, what would your dating life look like if you stopped tolerating disrespect altogether? You've probably heard the phrase, nice guys finish last. It's repeated so often that men either laugh at it or grow bitter. But here's the uncomfortable truth. It's not that women don't want nice men, it's that they don't respect men who give away their niceness as a bribe. There's a difference between being genuinely kind and being strategically spineless. Women can feel the difference instantly. Real kindness has boundaries. Fake kindness has desperation behind it. And desperation is never attractive. Think about it. When you're with a woman you're not romantically interested in, and she starts overgiving, texting non-stop, rearranging her schedule for you, agreeing with everything you say, what happens? You don't respect her more. You feel smothered. You sense the imbalance, even if you don't say it. The same thing happens in reverse. When you overgive to a woman who isn't showing equal effort, she doesn't suddenly fall for you. She pulls away. Why? Because people don't value what they don't have to earn. This is why some women will use a man without ever committing. She enjoys the dinners, the attention, the problem solving, the late night validation, but she has no intention of being his partner. And the worst part, he lets it happen. Not because he's weak, but because he doesn't believe he deserves better. He tells himself, at least she's spending time with me. That sentence is poison. It's the language of a man who doesn't know he's attractive enough to set a standard. Here's the tactical fix: you stop rewarding inconsistency. If she cancels plans twice, you don't rush to make a third. If she replies with one-word answers for days, you don't keep pushing the conversation. If she only calls when she's bored or lonely, you don't play therapist. Instead, you mirror. You match her investment. You show her through your behavior, not words, that your time is not endless, that every minute with you is a privilege, not a guarantee. The moment you live this way, the dynamic changes. She either rises to meet you, or she exits, and both outcomes serve you. Now, let's talk about what really makes you magnetic restraint. Most men believe attraction is built through constant action, constant compliments, constant chasing, constant reassurance. But the truth is, restraint creates more tension than excess ever could. When you don't reply immediately, she wonders what you're doing. When you don't rush to fill silence, she leans in. When you hold back a little, you create space for her to invest. That space is where attraction breathes. Without it, everything suffocates. The danger of underestimating yourself is that you never learn to use restraint. You think, if I don't keep feeding her attention, she'll lose interest. That's backward. If she loses interest because you didn't bombard her, then her interest was never real to begin with. Genuine attraction doesn't vanish because you didn't text back in 10 minutes. It grows when she realizes your attention isn't cheap. That's the psychology you need to embrace value is measured by scarcity. And your attention must be scarce if you want it respected. Here's a simple field test. The next time you're with a woman, resist the urge to overshare. Let her ask questions. Resist the urge to over-explain your life. Let her sit with the mystery. Resist the urge to constantly fill the silence. Let her feel the weight of it. If she's truly interested, she won't run, she'll step closer, she'll invest more. And if she doesn't, then she was never drawn to you in the first place. Either way, you win. Because the man who knows his value doesn't chase validation, he filters for truth. The moment you start living this way, women will see you differently. Not because you've changed your looks, not because you've memorized pickup lines, but because you're no longer bleeding neediness. You'll carry yourself like a man who can't be bought with crumbs. And that energy is rare. It's the energy that makes a woman double take, rethink, and reconsider. Because suddenly, you're not another man chasing her. You're the man she has to chase. So I'll leave you with this. Have you ever caught yourself being too nice, hoping it would buy you love? When you think about the last woman who pulled away from you, were you practicing restraint, or were you overfeeding her attention? And if you were brutally honest with yourself, what would change in your life if you finally stopped selling yourself short?